Hello again, Wired fam. Hope everybody's doing well. What's going on? What's going on? It is Wednesday night, 9 o'clock. You guys ready? I'm ready. I was born ready. Hope everybody had a good week. We're going to give everybody a little time to get on this evening. We got a lot of good stuff to talk about. Let's see who all is on. Let's see. My screen has not caught up yet. It'll get caught up in a minute. Where's my Coke? Time for a Mountain Dew. It's past my bedtime. I drink me a Mountain Dew and be up till midnight. Hope everybody's doing well. Welcome to everybody. Again, guys, don't forget, and gals, when you get on, drop me a hello. Let me know where you're from. I always like to be able to talk back to you guys, see how far we're reaching. Don't forget it. Those fingers in gear. It's hard for me to get my fingers in gear. We're going to talk about why here in just a minute, but right now my fingers are not working very well. Well, one hand is, the other hand didn't. Let's see who all's on tonight. Josh Sanders from Chattanooga. What's going on, Josh? Heidi Clark says, hi, Matt from Idaho. How's Laura Wired? Thank you for asking, Heidi. Laura and Little Wired are doing great, guys. Little Wired is healthy as could be, knock on wood. Healthy baby. We're extremely blessed. Laura is recuperating well. She's getting back to normal. She's not quite 100% yet, but she's maybe 75, 80%. So she's doing well. Thank you for asking, Heidi. If you weren't on the live last week, you need to go watch the live from last week because I introduced everybody to Little Wired. Little Wired is here. He is a beautiful little healthy baby boy. We are proud to have him. So if you didn't see him last week, go watch last week. Little Wired made his debut last week. Jimmy Pratt, Jamie Nelson, what's going on? Joel Nash, what's going on, Joel? Barry Cunningham from Clarksville, Tennessee. What's going on, Barry? Jackie Jordan, hello. Be here for a few, Jackie says. Well, welcome. Glad you're here. Chris Carr. Let's see, guys. I'm going to try. I'm having to sit a little bit farther from my computer tonight. Maybe I need to scoot up some. There we go. Chris Carr from Elizabethton, Tennessee. There we go. I'll get it right in a minute. I got my glasses on, so maybe I can see you guys tonight. But I am sitting a little further away because we're going to do something tonight. First of all, we're going to talk about crappie fishing. We're going to answer any questions you guys have, but we're also going to show you guys how to change the lower unit oil in your motor. Okay. I'm going to change the lower unit oil while we talk. So feel free, guys, if y'all have any questions, crappie wise, crappie fishing, electronics, so on and so forth. But I am going to show you guys how to change the lower unit oil tonight. All right. It's a very simple process. A lot of guys I know just don't want to tackle it because they're just unsure of how to do it, and they don't want to tackle something they're unsure of, but it's very simple, and you can save yourself some money and some time because taking anything to a dealership right now and getting any work done at any marine mechanic is ridiculous. All right. Everybody knows that who's taken a boat anywhere recently. So I'm going to show you how to do it. It's getting to be winter. I try to get it done before every winter, guys, every year. Before winter sets in, I want to change the lower unit in my motor for two reasons. One, I want to check it, make sure everything's running right. I told you guys the other day, I spooled an entire reel into my prop because I laid a rod on the back of the boat. The line got caught in the prop and it sucked every bit of line off that reel into my prop. And I had to take the prop off, dig the line out, so on and so forth. It's a nightmare. Okay. So always good to check that. Normally I would take the prop off and check for line, but I just did that a week ago. Or 2 weeks ago. So I'm not really worried about it tonight, but I always want to check lower unit oil before winter because first of all, I want to make sure everything's copacetic. I want to make sure nothing's leaking. There's no water intrusion into the oil. I want to make sure that I want to I want to make sure that the oil's in good condition. There's no water in there, because when I'm running up and down the road in the winter and I've got this thing out there before daylight and it's 25 degrees outside in East Tennessee, I don't want this lower unit to freeze. Okay, if this lower unit has any water in it, it could potentially freeze, and it could bust the motor. It could really do a lot of damage to the foot. Okay, so I don't want that. Nobody wants that, right? So it's always good to change that lower unit oil before winter if you're going to fish in the winter. Even if you're going to put your boat up for the winter, you still should probably change the lower unit oil, just so you know it's done. You know it's fresh oil. There's no water in your lower unit. You don't have to worry about it freezing. Okay. So we're going to go through that here in a little bit. But first, let's say some more hellos. Scott, moving to Central Illinois, want to do some crappie fishing. Central Illinois has got some good lakes in it. I do know that. Big Kid says hi. Dog talk. Hello, hello. Fishing is therapy. What's up from Georgia? How's the fishing? Honestly, I wish I could tell you. No, fishing in East Tennessee is good right now, except for Douglas and Cherokee. Douglas and Cherokee are fishing tough. The reason Douglas and Cherokee are fishing tough is because they've really just been draining the crap out of those lakes. They're trying to get them down to winter pool, and unfortunately, it is affecting the fishing. Okay, the fishing is suffering on those lakes because they're just drawing so much water through those lakes right now that it's just got the fish shut down. So, but Tellico's fishing good, Loudon's fishing good, Chick is fishing extremely well. Al, but probably Watch Bar's fishing good too, but Chick is probably fishing the best for numbers. If you're wanting to go catch numbers of fish, Chick is probably where to go right now for numbers of fish, just because, I mean, they stack up in the winter. They're getting to the point where they're really schooled up. A lot of fish down there. You can have a really good day. Are you going to catch 150 keepers? Probably not, but you're going to catch 150 fish, and you're probably going to catch 50 keepers. So Chick is a really, really good lake this time of year, and it's fishing really well this time of year. Curtis Hobbs. What's going on, Curtis? He says, hey, Matt, been catching some good fish at Blackshear. So me and Curtis have this thing about Blackshear. I'm getting a notification on my Wi-Fi. Hopefully you guys can, oh, it went back up. All right. So Curtis and I have this thing about Blackshear. I actually grew up down around the Albany area. I spent several years down there when I was a kid around the Albany, Georgia area, and Blackshear was right there. So I have fished Blackshear some, and there are some big fish on docks on Blackshear. I know that, but for the most part, I think those guys fish creek or the river channels, the creek channels. They're fishing trees and laydowns, or not laydowns, but offshore structure, trees and stuff that are on the edge of the river channel and edge of the creek channels down there. There a lot of long line trolling goes on Blackshear. I think Mr. Curtis loves his long line trolling. If I remember correctly, I'm just thinking. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think that's how Mr. Curtis likes to catch them. Anyway, some really, really good fish on Blackshear, guys. Really is. It's a lake that's not very known for crappie, but there's some giant fish on Blackshear. So I remember my one trip that I took down there. We fished docks and caught some absolute giants on Blackshear. So anyway, Blackshear is a very good lake. Glad to hear you're catching them, Mr. Curtis. Let's see. Let me scroll down, guys. Mike Morrison from Clarks Hill. What's going on? Asleep. What's going on? Congrats on the little wired. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it very much. Michael, can we talk about spider rigging, when and when not to? Yeah, sure. Absolutely, Michael. Let's talk about spider rigging for a minute. All right. So for the spider riggers in the house, when and when not to spider rig. Okay. My experience, and Michael, I want to say this first. All of everything I say on here is my opinion and my experience. Okay. So I try to talk, and I don't try to be lake specific. I don't try to be region specific. I try to talk to where it'll benefit everyone across the country as far as their crappie fishing is concerned. Okay. So for me, personally, in East Tennessee, spider rigging is best in the winter. And I'll say that because those fish group up, they get out, they suspend in open water, and you can really catch a lot of fish in the winter spider rigging. Now, the reason I don't particularly like to spider rig in the spring or summer or fall is because fall, those fish are really hard on structure. They're really hard on docks. They're looking for bait. They're looking for to feed. Spring, they're looking to spawn. They get up shallow. And Michael, it's hard in our area to spider rig in the spring because our lakes are so clear. When they move up shallow, you spook more fish than you catch. So spider rigging is a little difficult for us in the spring. And then summer, they're out deep and they're really, especially late summer, they're kind of lethargic because they're just stressed with the heat. So I like to pull crankbaits late summer or fish deep brush. But really, for me, spider rigging is a technique for winter. Okay. When those fish pull out over open water, they school up and you can just sit there and slow troll around. You can put a minnow in front of them. They're very lethargic at that point of in time because they're cold. They're not feeding a whole lot because that cold water has got their metabolism down. So they don't have to feed as much. They're not as active. And that real slow presentation of spider rigging with two double minnow rig, putting it right in front of their face, you get a lot more bites that way. Okay, and you catch a lot more fish in the winter with that technique. So for me, winter is when I'm going to spider rig, and it's going to be when there's not a lot of wind and there's not a lot of current. Okay, wind and current spider rigging is a pain in the butt. All right, anybody who's ever spider rigged knows wind and current suck when you're spider rigging. Okay, so I don't particularly like to spider rig when there's a lot of wind or a lot of current. Really, conditions have to be right for me to spider rig. Any other time, I'm fishing, structure, brush, docks, bridges in the winter. I'm fishing some other way than spider rigging if there's wind or current. Okay, I just don't want to get out there and try to fight it. You're trying to get those baits to hang straight up and down perfectly, vertically, and any kind of current wind just blows your boat around. It's a nightmare. So that's when I prefer to spider rig, and when I don't prefer to spider rig. Okay, I used to spider rig a lot more than I do now. I don't spider rig as much as I used to. Actually, it's pretty much non-existent for me anymore, just because I have live scope, and my preferred way to fish is structure. I'm a structure fisherman, and contours and structure is the way I kind of like to fish now. So anyway, I hope that helps, buddy. Bill Royals from South Carolina, what's going on? Paul Gwynn from Chattanooga, hello. Nathan Wood, what's up? Steven, what's going on from Holly Springs, North Carolina? LaRue from Morristown, hello. Dave D from Lake Hartwell, what's up? Ronnie Harris. Big Kid 2020 says, just did my lower end on my 50 horse on a new boat. The screw by the vent was hand loose, ready to come out. Yeah, that's it. I mean, guys, doing your routine maintenance yourself ensures that it's right. Okay, ensures that it's always good to check those things. It's always good to make sure that everything's sound on your motor. I've actually watched guys that pull up to a tournament, get out of their truck, walk back to their boat, grab a wrench out of one of the compartments on the boat, and they hit every single bolt on this motor. Not this one, but their motor. They'll hit every single bolt on their motor with a wrench before they launch. And that's tournament anglers for you, but I thought about it one day. I watched Ott Defoe. I don't know. I'm sure everybody in Tennessee knows who Ott Defoe is, and probably everybody who watches bass fishing knows who Ott Defoe is. I was talking to Ott at a tournament one morning. We were standing there talking, and he gets a wrench out and he hit every single bolt on his motor. I said, "You do that every tournament?" He said, "Every tournament." I said, "Really?" He said, "I got kids to go home to." I said, "Well, makes sense." So checking everything on your motor a couple times a year at least is not going to hurt you. Okay. Never take for granted that everything's good on these motors. A lot can go wrong on the lake really quickly. There's a really good crappie fisherman that, and I'm not going to name any names, but he fishes on the major trails. Some of you guys may know who I'm talking about. There's a really good crappie fisherman that just passed. They just found his body. I believe it was today or yesterday. And nobody knows what happened. He went out fishing, never came home. They found his boat. He wasn't in it. And then they found him days later. So you never know what can go wrong. Always check your equipment. Never take it for granted. And always wear a life vest if you're by yourself. If you're by yourself, always, guys, think safety first. A lot of times I don't do it. Okay. I'm guilty of it. But most of the time in the dead of winter, if I'm running and I'm by myself, I will wear a life vest, or at least my kill switch. And then I have times that I'm going to be off the water and all that good stuff. So, think safety first, always. Anyway, get off my tangent, get back on y'all's comments. David from Crossville, what's going on? Fishing is therapy, says Alatuna is pulling like crazy as well. Yeah, I think they all are. Josh Sanders said he'd second my comment on Chick. He caught a ton down there Saturday and Sunday. 922 Crappie, what's up all? What's going on, man? Hit that thumbs up, Chris says. Barry Cunningham says he's been wearing them out on brush piles the last few days. How many will you pull off one pile before you let it rest? All right, so very good question. Depends. If I'm fishing tournaments, I'm only going to catch a couple. I'm going to catch maybe one, or if I'm pre-fishing for a tournament, okay, I may catch one, I may catch two, may not fish at all, but if I do fish, I'm only going to catch one or two, and then I'm gone. I'm just going to want to see what age class those fish are, and then I'm leaving. Now, if I'm out there to fun fish, Barry, man, I'm going to catch everyone that'll bite. I mean, if they'll bite, I'm going to catch them. I mean, I'm going to put them back in the lake, so I don't typically take fish home unless I'm going to eat fish that night, right? If I'm going to eat fish that night, I'll take 4 or 5 home. That feeds my family. I'll take 4 or 5 fish home and eat those, and that's it. So, but yes, if they're biting, I'll sit there and catch them until they won't bite anymore. Now, let me say this, with live scope, a lot of times before live scope, we would think, okay, you catch a fish, you put it back, it runs off. No, you catch a fish, you put it back, it runs right back down there in that brush pile and sits right back down there with the rest of the school in that same brush pile you just caught him out of. Okay. And I've seen that a blue million times. And anybody with live scope is going to say the same thing. They'll say, I second, third, fourth, fifth, eighth, that. They will run right back down to that brush pile, and they'll sit right back down in that brush pile. Now, will they bite again? It's very rare. Very rare. They will actually run from your jig at that point. But there is some fish that'll bite again. Okay. The really sleepy ones will bite again. All right. Because they didn't remember what happened. But for the most part, you take it by, and I've done this. I've watched the fish go back down, sit on a branch. I've made a cast out to him, watched the jig drop, and he'll just turn around and take off. Now, he won't take off out of the brush pile. He'll just take off to the other side of the brush pile and stop. But typically, they won't bite again. In some weird cases, they will. But yeah, I'll sit there and catch them till they aren't biting anymore. Michael, when spider rigging, how do you know where to target? Very good question. So I'm looking for flats next to the main channel, next to the creek channel. I'm looking for schools of bait, and I'm looking for schools of fish. I will actually idle for an area first, Michael, and I'm looking for those groups of fish. I'm watching my down imaging, and I'm watching my side imaging, and I'm watching for those pods of fish. Once I start seeing those pods of fish, okay, now I'm not talking just one pod and then nothing, and then another pod. I'm talking a pod, talking pods of fish just everywhere. Once I find those pods of fish where I have 8, 10, 12 pods on one screen and they're just continually popping up on the screen on my side imaging, that's when I'll stop and fish. I'll figure out, okay, I want to go from point A to point B. I'll make a pass. If I get bites, I'll flip around. I'll come back through. As long as I'm getting bites, I'll continue just going back and forth. Okay. But I'm looking for creek channels. I'm looking for flats and open next to the river channel, open water flats in the winter. And then a lot of times, you'll find fish around brush that'll be suspended around brush, out away from brush. You can actually find them suspended out around docks as well in the winter, not necessarily under them, but out around them. So it's really just, you're looking for those open water fish. Most of the time, those fish aren't going to be far from the areas that you caught them in the fall, but they're going to pull out into deeper water and suspend. So you're kind of, if you were fishing in the fall and you know where the fish were in the fall, say they were in the back of Creek A, and you want to go fishing in the dead of winter, start at the mouth of Creek A, kind of work your way back in, and look for those fish over the river channel, over the creek channel, and look for those on those main lake, or not main lake, but those I'm going to call them semi-deep flats, that 15 to 25-foot flat that's next to a river or creek channel. Okay. They'll suspend out over top of that as well. So look for bait, like I said, and look for those pods of fish. Let's see, somewhere around here. Tyler. Thank you, Tyler, for the super chat. I appreciate it, buddy. Just went from a 93 to a 1222. Been frustrated, way more noise on screen, harder to see jig, fall at 25 to 35 feet. Settings haven't helped. Any advice? Yes, I do have some advice. First of all, make sure that 1222 is updated. Depending on when you got it, where you got it from, it could have an old update in it. Okay, Tyler. So check the update, make sure it's up to date. All right. If it isn't, get it updated. I have updated my unit, my 1222, and it works great. Okay. The next thing I would say is reset defaults. Reset the defaults to factory settings. Okay. Go back and reset everything to factory settings and start fresh. Run. I can't use that finger. Run 3. Run auto medium on your gain. Okay. Just try it. Trust me. I know everybody says, adjust your gain every time you stop. Try running auto medium after you reset defaults and see if that helps. Okay. Auto medium for me is absolutely beautiful on the screen, and it adjusts itself. So what auto medium does, guys, is it sets your gain based on your depth. That's how they set it up. So when you go shallower, the gain goes down, so it's not as cluttered. It's not as hot. When you go deeper, it turns the gain up for you so that you can see more, and it penetrates deeper. Okay, so try running auto medium after resetting your defaults. But resetting your defaults may actually fix it for you. Okay, so try that. Try it while you're on the water. And thank you again for the super chat. Guys, super chats, just like that right there. If you have a question, you need me to get to it right away, throw a super chat out there. It pops up on my screen, tells me I have a super chat. I will stop what I'm doing and get to you right away and answer your question. Also, it's a blessing to this channel. Helps keep me on the water, making great content for you guys, which, by the way, I'm going to be on the water this weekend. I've got permission from Mama now. Mama's doing a lot better. Little Wired's doing a lot better. And I am going to be back on the lake making some good content for you guys, some good fishing videos and some good how-to videos. And like I told you guys, we're going to get more into how to catch fish other than you guys just standing there watching me catch fish. Okay. So we're going to shift gears a little bit on the channel, and we're going to get back to what my original passion, my original reason for starting this channel was, is not for you guys just to watch me catch fish all day, but to teach you guys how to catch more fish. So we're going to do a lot of informational videos. There are going to be fish caught, okay? We're going to get back on the lake. We're going to catch fish. But I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit more. I'm going to sit down, show you guys what I'm doing a little bit more. I'm going to sit down, show you how to do different techniques, tie different knots, do different things, how to work a jig. We're going to do a lot of different stuff, okay? And it's going to be a lot more how-to driven and a lot less watch me catch fish driven, okay? So keep an eye out for that coming. It's going to be really, really good. I'm looking forward to it. Getting back on the water this weekend. I'm excited about it. It's going to be colder than crap. It's another reason I'm changing lower unit all tonight because it's supposed to, I think it's supposed to freeze this weekend. So we're going to do this and get her ready for that cold weather, right? So anyway. Let's see here. Ashley Coffee. Hey, Matt, late but here. Actually was able to get on the water today for first time since the Douglas tournament. That's awesome, man. Did you go to, where'd you go? Where'd you fish at? Did you fish Douglas again? Was it still miserable? Yeah, where'd you fish at? Or did you go to Chick? I seen another super chat pop up. Larry Merrick, Mr. Larry Merrick. The Merrick in the house. What's going on, Larry? Great on the gear shift. No offense, but watching your back, not so fun. I got you. I got you, Mr. Larry. I hear you loud and clear, my friend. Hey, trust me. It got to the point for me where I was like, I got to do something different. I'm not doing enough. I'm not helping enough. I'm not teaching enough. I got to get back to what I love. I got to get back to my roots, and that's teaching and helping and, entertaining. And it's more about you guys being more successful on the water than it is me catching fish. So we're going to get back to it. We're going to get back to it, Mr. Larry. I promise. And I'm going to try to get about 3 or 4 different videos while I'm out this weekend is what I'm going to try to do. So if you see me in 3 or 4 different videos and I've got the same clothes on, don't be like, he's got the same clothes on. He's dirty. No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm going to try to do a lot of different stuff for you guys this weekend while I'm out there and get you guys a lot of good content, a lot of good watch hours to sit down on the couch and binge watch Wired for Crappie. So glad you're excited, Mr. Larry. Hope everybody's excited as you are, buddy. All right, let me go back up. Whoa, what happened? Is that rushing? Is that how that is, or how you say that? Anyway, he says, "Hey, here from Indiana. I love the Q&As. A lot of knowledge being shared in these. You're very welcome. I'm glad you're here." I think I said that right. Rushing, is that right? Tom A from Pennsylvania. What's going on, Tom? Midwest Custom Jigs. Hello, Wired fam. What's going on? Jeff Johnson says, wore them out on Taylorsville Sunday on a crappie magnet, Tennessee shad color. Hard to find the color they wanted. Yeah, Tennessee shad. That's a good color. It's a like a black and silver, right? I think most everybody's Tennessee shad is black and silver, but yes, very good color, very good bait. Not quite as good as a stump bug, but it'll do. I get ragged all the time at tournaments because everybody says, "Oh, a crappie magnet, a crappie magnet." What about Matt and the crappie magnet? It's pretty funny. Michael says, in winter in South Louisiana, can we still catch good fish on old dock pilings? Question mark. I'd rather do that and not spider rig. I like the single pole or single jig pole. Winter in South Louisiana. Winter in South Louisiana. I mean, you guys have dirty water, so yes. I mean, I would think you would be able to. I think you'd be able to catch those fish because you have dirtier water and because it doesn't get as cold in South Louisiana. I would think you'd be able to catch those fish in those same areas, I mean, that shallower water is going to stay warmer because it's dirtier, and it's also um, there's not going to be as much light penetrated. So I would say yes. That would be my first, or my first thought would be yes. Barry says, have an old Helix unit that doesn't produce the best images. Before live scope, did you stop and fish every piece of cover you saw, even if you didn't see fish on it? No, no, sir. Before live scope, if I didn't see fish on it, I didn't stop. I still don't. If I don't see fish, I don't stop. Okay. I don't wait for my live scope to tell me if there's fish there or not. I can see them on my side imaging and down imaging. So no, to answer your question, no, I did not stop, and I do not stop. Okay. Um, I'm looking for structure with fish. I'm looking for fish. That's what I'm out there for. And if I don't see fish, I'm not going to stop and try to make fish appear where there isn't any. Okay. So a lot of times, I will say this, I actually have a video out. It's crappie start to finish. If you watch that video, I actually show you a brush pile on my side imaging unit that has fish in it, and you can see the difference in brush that doesn't have fish and brush that has fish. So brush that has fish, it's going to be a big pile, and it's just going to be white in the middle. Okay. And you're going to be like, well, why is it so bright in the middle? It's because there's fish in the middle of it. All right. So you've got to learn to read those units. You've got to learn to read your units, guys, and understand what's fish and what is not fish. The best way to do that is, again, time on the water. So let's say you've got a spot that you love to fish every time you're out there. Drive over that spot. If you drive over it, you stop, you catch fish. Remember what it looked like when you drove over it. Okay. Then 2 weeks later, you go fishing again. You drive over it. You look at it. You think, I don't know if there's fish there or not. Maybe, maybe not. You fish, you don't catch anything. Remember what that looked like. Okay. It will look different. All right. A lot of times when those fish bury in brush, you're going to get a blob. Okay. You're not going to be able to look and say, oh, that's a brush pile. You're going to get this blob that goes, well, I know there's a brush pile there, but it's just a big white blob now. That's because there's fish in it. They're not always going to jump out at you like on the commercials. Okay. It's not going to happen. You're going to have to interpret those images. And like I said, if you catch fish on it one day, scan it, look at it, get a feel for what it looks like with fish. If you go there and you don't catch anything, scan it, look at it. It'll look different. And when it does, that'll start giving you an idea what's fish, what's not fish, when there is fish there, when there's not fish there. And then you can apply that to every brush pile you look at. Okay. It really is more of a science than, I guess, an art than a science. Isn't that how they say that? It's more of an art than a science, right? So it really is figuring out your side imaging, down imaging, and understanding where fish are and what's fish and what's not fish. That's just time on the water. Okay. And the older hummingbirds, I will admit, the older hummingbirds, older Helix units, Barry, are very difficult to see fish. They didn't have the best side imaging and down imaging back then with those units. I had one, so I know, trust me. That's why I'm fishing with Lawrence's, because I just don't like hummingbirds. I can't see anything on them. It's like driving blind for me. So my Lawrence units are where it's at for me, and that's what I run. So I would first say find something that you can see. Find something that you can pick up some used units, some used Lawrence HDS units, Gen 1s, Gen 2s. You can pick those up for cheap, and they're very, very good units. You can see very, very well on them. If you can't see on the one you got, it's worthless. You need to get something that you can see on, okay? Ashley went to Teleco this afternoon, about half checking new areas and half fishing, as I've been taught lots of laughs. Some areas they wouldn't touch a jig, and others they killed it. Some decent blackfish today. So again, here we go. Spend more time looking, just like Ashley said. I preach on that. I believe that. Spend more time looking than fishing, and don't stay trying to make inactive fish active. Just like Ashley said right here, some places they killed a jig, others they didn't touch it. All right. If they're not touching it, go find ones that will touch it, because there's active fish somewhere in your lake every day. Doesn't matter what day it is, what the fish are doing. There's an active fish somewhere in your lake. Even on Douglas in the last tournament, there was active fish somewhere because people caught fish. Not us, but people caught fish. Uh, uh, I think in the last Douglas tournament, the winners caught 15 fish all day, and we probably caught 20 fish all day, 25 fish, but they were all this big, um, except for the 7 we weighed in, and they were this big, right? So anyway, but there's active fish somewhere in your lake. Always, there's active fish somewhere in the lake. So keep moving, keep bouncing around, just like Ashley said, and you'll find active fish somewhere. Okay. If they're not active, don't try to make them active. Leave. Go find active fish. Jeff Johnson, lots of laughs. I caught some on the stump bug slick color, but the magnet was on fire. Yeah. We're gonna move on from Jeff's comments. Jeff, comments, man. Your comments. uh, All right, Barry. How often do you find new cover as opposed to fishing what you already have marked? If I go fishing by myself, Barry, I'm always fishing new cover. If I'm fishing by myself, now listen, I'm fishing alone. I go but to the lake by myself. I always fish new structure. Okay. Very rare do I fish a spot that I've already got. Every once in a while, I will. If I'm just want to go catch some fish, okay. Let's say my son says, "Dad, I want crappie for dinner." Okay, well it's 3 o'clock. I got 2 hours to get to the lake and back. Okay, then I'm gonna run up there. I'm gonna fish a couple brush piles, get 5, 6, 8 fish, and I'm coming home and fixing dinner. Right. But if I'm going to the lake, like if I'm gonna go fish for you guys, or I'm just going to, you know, have fun, go fish for a day. Always new stuff. Always. I'm looking for new stuff. I want to find fish on new stuff. That's where the passion is for me. That's where the fun is for me, is finding that new stuff that I've never found before and saying, "Ha, gotcha. Can't hide now." Catch fish off that new pile. So I'm always looking for new. If I'm having a bad day finding new stuff and I want to go catch a few fish, then yeah, I'll run over to a couple spots and catch a few fish. And I guess uh, relieve myself of the pain of not finding fish on new stuff that day, and I'll go catch some fish and then go back to finding new stuff. But for the most part, I'm always fishing new stuff by myself. Now, if I have a guide trip, or somebody calls me and says, "Hey, can you take me fishing? I want to go fishing." Yeah, I ain't got no fishing. Okay, come on. Then I'll fish the stuff I already have. I'm not going to go waste time when I have other people in the boat, or tournament day, or um, if I'm on a guide trip. I'm not going to waste time looking for new stuff. People pay me to put them on fish. I'm going to put them on fish. Okay. Brian, up in upstate New York. What's going on from New York? Uh, Water is getting cold and rough. Having trouble finding crappie that will bite. Yes. The colder the water gets, the more, like I said, the more lethargic those fish are going to get, the slower their metabolism is going to be. They're not going to eat as much, Brian. So you're really going to have to slow your presentation down. Okay. Slow that presentation down. Um, don't force those fish to eat. Give them plenty of time to look at the bait, see the bait, fall in love with the bait, court the bait, marry the bait, and then have a baby with the bait. Right? So give them time to look at it, and switch to live bait if you have to. Live bait, again, in the winter can be really good because you can set it in front of the fish, and it's a natural presentation for the fish. The minnow will sit there and swim around. Um, Peg that minnow really close to the hook with a split shot. That way he can't move around in a big area. So he can just go in a circle, a little circle right there in front of the fish. Keep it in front of those fish's nose, and you'll be more successful in the winter. Byron Walker, Matt, what's your favorite go-to color for the stump bug? Clear to lightly stained water. My favorite go-to color for clear to lightly stained color is, or water, it's probably rather a moon dust stump bug, a white and chartreuse, a black and chartreuse, or a slick stump bug for clear to lightly stained. Those are probably going to be my 4 go-tos for clear to lightly stained water. Jimmy says he finds himself loving new stuff. I love new stuff too. Michael says, good color jig for dirty water, black and chartreuse all day long. All day long, twice on Sunday, 3 days a week, a month, a year, every day of the year, every day of the week, 9 to 5, 9 to 9, black and chartreuse. Every bit of it. All right. Dirty water, black and chartreuse, my go-to. I'm throwing it. I'm throwing it every single cast. All right. Let's get our hands dirty a little bit. A little bit. All right. So, you guys don't necessarily have to see my head, do you? Is it okay if I'm headless for a little bit? So, right back up. Sitting on my milk crate. Trusty old milk crate's got my Crocs on. Who likes my Crocs? Who wears Crocs? Raise your hand if you wear Crocs. Crocs are where it's at. Oh, let me tell you guys what happened real quick. What happened to me this week. All right. Real quick. Mama says I did it on purpose, just so I didn't have to wear my wedding ring. I don't have my wedding ring on. It's because my finger's all bummed up. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. I got a perfectly round wedding ring, whatever you want to call that, on my hand. It's kind of hurting and hopefully not infected, but anyway, it goes around my finger. So, changing the batteries in the boat. All right. Love the Crocs. Crocs and socks. That's where it's at. Crocs and socks in the shop, my friends. No doubt. Crocs and socks. Woo! Crocs and socks. We're going to start a hashtag. Hashtag Crocs and socks, baby. 2021. Winter of 2021. All right. So, changing the, I can't even open my finger all the way, but changing the trolling motor batteries in my boat. All right. I had a wrench in my hand. I was tightening. I was on the negative post. I was tightening the negative post. And I went to tighten the negative up, and the wrench slipped off the negative. And when it did, it didn't slip all the way off. It just slipped a little bit off the nut. The back side of my wedding ring hit the positive, and that wrench was running through my hand. Okay. And it was laying on the inside of my wedding ring. So when a wrench slipped, my ring hit the positive. Some of you guys saw this on my Facebook, saw the picture on my Facebook. But when the wrench slipped and my ring hit the positive and it was connected to the wrench on the inside of my hand to the negative, oh, it sent sparks. It was sparking. It was flying. It actually welded my wedding ring to the positive terminal on my battery. Okay. I had to knock my wedding ring off the terminal with a hammer. And it got hot. It got real hot. And it ate my finger plumb up. So Mom thinks I did it so I didn't have to wear my wedding ring. She's like, I knew you'd find a way to get that wedding ring off. And I'm like, okay, we've been married for 13 years. Don't think it's a problem. I'm good. You're good. But unfortunately, my finger is roasted, toasted like a marshmallow. And trust me, it ain't fun. So, moral of this story, Don't use a wrench this long when you're trying to tighten your batteries. Use a wrench this long so if it slips off, you're not close to the positive terminal because it will shock the crap out of you and it will burn your finger. It'll burn your finger all the way around that ring. It'll burn your finger. So, word to the wise. That's the wired tip for the week. Don't do it. Don't you do it. All right. I love Crocs too, Heidi. Crocs and socks. I love them. Yep. Larry said this is why every good electronic tech takes off any rings. Yeah. I know. But that ring is special, guys. That ring's special to me. So I won't go into a lot of detail, but we actually lost a baby several years ago. And that was a commemorative ring for our angel baby. Okay. So that ring is near and dear to my heart, and it is going to a jeweler to get fixed because um, I will never, ever get rid of that ring. But anyway, we're going to move on. Okay. Let's get going. Let's get going on some motor maintenance. All right. So things you'll need for this job. Okay. You're going to need gaskets. All right. These are original Evinrude gaskets. This is not a paper gasket like a mercury gasket. Okay. This is actually, you can't really see them in there, can you? I'll have to take one out. See if I can get them closer. This is actually a plastic O-ring. Okay. You see those little plastic O-rings right here? So it's a little plastic O-ring. There's 10 in this pack. I buy them 10 at a time. They come 10 in a pack. They're not very expensive. They're like $1 a piece or whatever. So I buy 10 at a time because I do this kind of often. I actually kind of do this twice a year, just for poops and giggles because I don't have anything else to do and I'm lame like that. So very simple process. All right, you're gonna need a screwdriver. This is a big screwdriver. This is one of them big ones. All right, so you're gonna need a big Phillips head. All right, don't try to use no little Phillips head. This is a big Phillips head screwdriver. All right, don't try to use a little one because if you do, you're gonna strip out your bolts and you're gonna have to buy new bolts. All right, so get a big Phillips head. Some of these, okay, don't you take a Phillips head. Some of them actually take an Allen wrench. If you have the Allen wrench model, that's fine. Get you an Allen wrench. All right, but you're gonna need something to take the screws off. There's 2 screws. All right, and you're gonna need something to take them off. So I'm using a flathead screwdriver, which is what mine calls for. All right, you're gonna need an oil pan. So there's a couple different kind of oil pans you can use. You can use an actual oil pan that catches oil. You can use a bowl. All right, you can use a big bowl. I've used this one before, as you can see. This is just a big bowl. I'll actually probably use this at some point because with this version of oil pan, I cannot trim my motor down all the way because the oil pan gets in the way. And I like to be able to trim the motor down all the way, let it drain out real good. I always like to kind of let it tilt it forward or tilt it up so that the plug, because the plug is a little forward of center. As you can see with my finger here, the plug is a little forward of center. So I always like to tilt it up just a little bit, get all the oil to run to that drain hole. We'll talk about that here in just a minute. Okay, so you're going to need oil. All right, you're going to need gear lube. Don't put regular oil in your motor. All right, this is Quicksilver Marine Lubricants. This is high performance gear lube, SAE 90. All right, this is the blue. All right, so if you look right here, the side of that, you can see that is blue. All right, blue high performance gear lube. The high performance gear lube is for use in all jet drives and outboard lower units, jet pump, sport jet, and all Mercury Cruiser stern drives. Okay, this is also good for, like I said, this is a Johnson Fast Strike 150. It's also great for this motor. This can be run in a lot of different motors. Okay, but this is, again, this is the high performance. It is the blue in color. They have, Mercury has another one that's actually clear, not clear, but it's like a beige color. It's for motors that are less, that are, I think, 75 horse and below. So if you've got over a 75 horse, I recommend running the high performance, which is blue. Okay. So make sure you've got the right gear lube for your motor. All right. If you're running a Yamaha, I think they've got a different gear lube for a Yamaha. So make sure you've got. Yeah, flathead. What's wrong with flathead? Flathead screwdriver. Flathead. Anyway, make sure you've got the right gear lube for your motor. Okay, this is what's right for mine. Joe Evans, that was a great reason to go to wing nuts on the screw posts. Yeah, I just don't like wing nuts because they'll come loose sometimes. Melton Hill Lake was the first wedding bed for Josh Sanders. Yeah, you lost that. That's right. You lost one at Melton Hill. Steven says wired is high performance. Amen to that, Steven. Wired is high performance, my friend. That ain't no doubt. I run high performance gear lube for the high performance wired. Definitely right. Oh, Josh said you said Phillips about 5 times. My bad. My bad. My bad. All right. All right, gum. Y'all are letting me have it. I'm using a big flat-headed screwdriver. Okay. All right. So always also a rag. You're going to need a rag. Okay. And with your gear lube, this is a gear lube pump. Okay. You're going to need a gear lube pump. All right. So one thing to remember when you're filling your gear lube, you've got 2 screws. Most all motors have 2 screws. All right. I know I said Phillips. I'm sorry. I was thinking flathead and said Phillips. I'm sorry. My apologies to all the mechanics out there. I'm sorry. You guys are letting me have it. All right. This is live, guys. I can't go back. I can't re-record. All right. It's live. I'm sorry. I said Phillips. I meant flathead. What's up, Big Mike? What's going on, man? Glad you're here. All right. So we're going to take our flathead. All right. 2 screws. So we've got a top screw and we've got a bottom screw. Okay. Let me move you guys up here a little closer so that you can see. All right. You guys see that? Right here's our top screw. Okay. And you can't see the bottom screw. It's right down here. It blends in because they're both silver. They are silver, right? I didn't get that wrong. I wasn't thinking silver and said blue, did I? All right, so they're both silver. Can't really see it, but there's the bottom screw, and then there's your top screw. So what we want to do, okay? Now listen to me. All right? Listen to me. You want to take that bottom screw out first. Why do you want to take that bottom screw out first? Because if you take the bottom screw out first, that top screw is holding a vacuum in this lower unit, and it won't allow it to get everywhere. You see that right there? There's water in my lower unit. See that? Which means when I spooled that line in there the other day, I ruined a seal. So I get to change a seal. You guys see that? Now I'm taking the top plug out, which is going to allow all of the oil to run out of that lower unit. Did you guys see that? That was solid water in that lower unit, which means I blew a seal the other day. I had a feeling I did. All right, we're going to let that drain. Surprisingly, though, the oil actually looks pretty good. The oil doesn't look bad. I'll show you guys the oil. So the oil is actually still, I'm going to try to get it where it doesn't drip on my computer. So if you can see that, the oil is still actually pretty black. It's actually not Well, you can't really see it good on my finger, but the oil is actually still pretty black. It doesn't have a lot of milkiness to it, which means that water hadn't been in there long, which means I definitely blew it out when I was when I spooled that rod out of it the other day. That's okay. Looks like I've got a prop seal change in my future. There's a little bit of milkiness to it. It actually has started to mix into that oil. That's exactly why you change your lower unit oil, guys, before you blow your lower unit up. All right, so while that drains, let's talk some more. Let's see. Bradley says, thinking about doing some long lining tomorrow, water temp around 63, cold front coming in Friday. Yeah, there is a cold front coming in Friday. That's why I'm wondering about this weekend, what it's going to be like. I'm thinking this weekend is going to be rather tough. Big cold front coming in Friday, Saturday and Sunday, cold front. Can be colder than crap. So we'll see what the fishing's like this weekend. Mike says, like watching. Hope all is well. Like your new place. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Guys, I know Mike. Me and Mike go way back from when I was like 18, man. I mean, me and Mike met a long time ago. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. Josh Sanders said, yep, looked like tap water coming out of there at first. Guess because it was tap water. It was telco. It was telco water coming out there. Definitely a little water intrusion without a shadow of a doubt. So we're pulling a we'll be pulling a prop, pulling a drive shaft, a prop shaft, and we're gonna be changing a prop shaft seal. Fun. Anybody want to join? Anybody want to do it for me? That'd be good. You guys want to come on down and pull that prop shaft seal out and replace it? That'd be good. That's what I get for laying a rod in the back. Oh well. Mike says he's going to the woods this weekend. I wouldn't mind being in the woods myself. All right, Ty says, would you use a weekend like the one that's coming to scout for new spots? Absolutely, 100%. That's what I'll be doing. Yeah, I will be. I will be scouting for new spots without a doubt. Sure. Yeah, I don't know that I'll do a whole lot of fishing this weekend. I'm gonna do some videos for you guys, and I'm gonna catch 6 or 8 fish, do a couple videos, um, catch 6 or 8 fish, and then probably scout the rest of the day. So I'll be driving around on the lake burning gas. Your future cold front is about 30 minutes from me right now. Plenty of thunder and high winds. Yeah, it's going to be windy too. Um, we're supposed to get a lot of rain and wind tomorrow. So tomorrow we're supposed to get a lot of wind and high rain, or a lot of rain and high winds. Good Lord, I can't talk tonight. Phillips flat, all that good stuff. High rain. But no, we're supposed to get rain and high winds tomorrow. So and then the cold front comes after that. But one thing I want to mention on these screws, okay, you guys can see that right there. There is a rod that protrudes out of the back of the threads. You guys see that rod? That is actually metal shavings on the end of that. Okay, that's normal. See those metal shavings? See if I can hold it still. Can anybody see those metal shavings on the end of that? That is a magnet that has caught metal shavings. Okay, those fine metal shavings that are on there, That's normal wear and tear, guys. Okay. That's normal wear and tear. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So if you pull these out and you look at them and you've got those little bitty, just fine shavings on there, I'm going to clean this one off and show it to you again. That's absolutely normal wear and tear. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay. There it is clean. Okay. So that little bit of metal and stuff on there, set little bit of metal on there. That's perfectly normal. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Guys, your lower unit is going to wear. It's just nature of the beast. It's going to wear. There's nothing you can do to keep it from wearing. Um, and those little bitty fines. Now, if you start getting chunks, if you start seeing like little chunks of stuff that are on your magnet, that's when you got a problem. All right. Paul Gwynn says, "Are you going to Chick this weekend?" Possibly. Yeah, probably so. Probably so. All right. Let me trim this motor down. I got to walk to the other side of the motor to trim it down. Let me walk over here to trim this motor down a little bit. All right. So let's talk about what we know. We know we need a prop shaft seal, right? We know we're getting water in our lower unit. And we know we need to be cognizant of that when we go to the lake, because I'll have to order a prop shaft seal. And we know we need to order more high performance gear lube because we're going to have to do this again. So I'm spinning the prop right now just to try to get a little bit more of the oil out quicker. All those gears will spin and it'll kind of work that oil down a little bit. And we're just going to let it drain. We're not going to let it drain much more because we're going to have to come back and redo this after we change prop shaft seal. Jeff Johnson, I have the 1222 LS, and you default it to update it, or it makes the picture better. Have only had mine a year. I have the 1222 live scope, and you default it to update it, or it makes the picture better. You lost me on that one, Jeff. I think what Jeff's saying here is if he defaults, if you can go take everything back to default, it clears it up. A lot of times it does, because when you change it so much, you keep changing it repeatedly. A lot of times it almost like it gets stuck. And if you reset it to default, a lot of times it actually clears it. It's basically like a reset. Okay. All right. I think we're good. All right. So what are we going to do from here? Well, from here, we're going to fill her back up. See what happens when your flathead screwdriver slips on your bolts. Yeah, that one's got a little bit of road rash. They kind of both do. That's all right. All right, so we're going to take these O-rings, these plastic O-rings that are on here, and we're going to replace those. We're going to pull those off. I got chewed out because last time I did this for you guys, I didn't replace those. And there's a guy that chewed me out about it. But these are actually a little bit better than the paper ones because these are plastic and they don't wear as much. They're harder crap to get off sometimes. So we're going to screw them off. All right, there's one off. Let me get rid of that comment so you guys can see. Hoorah, Byron. Hoorah, no doubt. Golly. Come on. There it goes. All right, got both those off. So now we're going to crack this package open. We're going to get 2 new O-rings. Put 2 new O-rings on it. Dokie smoky. Those should push on. Yep. 1 and 2. All right, so we got O-rings replaced. Now, what I want to do is I want to try to get this motor perfectly level. You guys can see the back side right here is a little higher than the front, so we're going to trim it down just a little bit more, okay? All right, reason I want this level is because when we fill the oil back up in here, I want to make sure to fill the entire cavity with oil, okay? Dog Talk. Thank you for the super chat. How do you update a 1222? Mine's a year old. Go to Google, type in Garmin Marine Update, and it'll take you to Garmin Marine's update site, and you just follow the instructions, okay? Make sure you update it with a card. Do not update it through Active Captain. Use a card. Download it from their website on a card, put it in your unit, and upload. Okay? All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take our pump, okay? And we're going to, there's a little cap on the end here to keep it from leaking. This has threads on it, okay? You guys see those threads? And this actually threads right into this lower hole. So what we're going to do, slide that out of our way. We're actually going to thread this in to this lower hole. All right, let's thread it in. And then we're just going to pump. Always fill from the lower hole, okay? You want to leave both the lower and the upper screw out, and you want to fill it from the bottom to the top. All right, so we're just going to start pumping. There was actually about there was about 16, well, maybe 14 ounces. There's about 14 ounces in this bottle. It's probably going to take the better part of a quart to fill up. What we're going to do is we're just going to keep pumping this joker. Move this bowl over here. All right. We're just going to keep pumping until this comes out the top hole. All right. Until oil starts coming out that top hole, we're just going to keep pumping. Now, we about got to the end of that cord. Of course, it wasn't full. I don't want to pump a bunch of air in there. So I'm going to take that off, set it down in here for a second. I'm going to open up my second quart. That was not a full quart, by the way. That was left over from the last time I did this. I'm going to open this up. I'm going to put that pump back in there. Keep pumping. It's going to take you a minute, guys. You're going to sit here and pump for a good minute or two. Right now is when I need to be doing a video where I can just fast forward it and be like, all right, we're done. All right, we got about half this quart in there, so we should be getting close. We should be getting real close. Yep, there it comes. All right, can you guys see it running out the top here? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pump it and I'm going to let it drain. And as you pump it and it drains a little bit, you're going to see it bubble. Okay? Now what I want to do is I want to get as much air out of this lower unit as I can. So I want to keep pumping. As long as I see air bubbles coming out, I'm going to keep pumping. Now, when I get to the top, I'm going to pump real slow because I don't want to put a bunch of air. I don't want to agitate the oil. I don't want to put a bunch of air in the oil because I want it nice and full. Okay, I'm going to let that set for just a couple minutes. See if you guys have anything else that you're talking about here. So I'm going to let it set for a minute, just kind of let it, let some of those bubbles and some of that air release, work its way up through that oil and get to the top. All right, that looks pretty good. So now, again, always want to put the top plug back in first. Why is that? Because when I take this tube off of the lower drain hole, I want there to be almost like a vacuum pulled. I don't want it to leak out real fast. I want a vacuum to hold in there so it holds that oil in, and I can get that. Now, you're going to lose a little oil, okay? When you pull this out and you go to put this plug in the bottom, you're going to lose a little bit of oil, but it's not going to be enough to make a difference, okay? So let's go ahead and put those back in. All right, I'm going to pump it one more time, maybe two more times. All right, go ahead and put this top plug back in. You're going to get dirty, guys, okay? If you don't like getting your hands dirty, I'm sorry, but you're going to get your hands dirty on this one. No way to get these plugs back in without getting your hands dirty. All right, so what I do is I just snug it down, okay? And I'm going to come back, put some pressure on it, get a good quarter turn. That's it. Snug it down, a good quarter turn. You're good to go. Okay. Now, this is where it gets fun. Getting this out of here, getting that plug back in there. All right. Always, like I said, you're going to lose a little oil. You're going to. But the key is to try not to lose a ton. All right. I like to give it about a half a pump. Just give it a little bit of a pump. Just put a little bit more oil in there. Okay. Get this right out to the edge. That in there. All right, snug it down. Wipe your hand off. And you want to come in here, give it a good quarter turn. That's it. You're done. Now, one thing I will always do is I always want to wipe the oil off that motor. Okay? Just because I don't want to take it to the lake and sink it in the lake with a bunch of oil on it. Always wipe that motor down, that oil off it. A lot of times I'll spray it with a little cleaner. Just get that oil off. All right. And that's it, guys. Done and done. Done and done. Wipe my tarp off. Get oil off my tarp. Put my plug back on my pump. Get a bunch of leakage out the end of the pump there. That's it. Good to go. That's simple. If there wasn't water in it. But good news is we know how to fix that. Tyler, very good question. What do you have on your boat for side imaging? I was thinking of going with a Helix 10 Mega side imaging, but dang, they are expensive. They are expensive for sure. So I'm actually running. Hang on just a second. Right back. All right. So this is one of the units that I'm not running this one right now. Obviously, it's not on my boat, but this is one of my spare units. This is a Lowrance HDS 8 Gen 1. Okay. It's a Gen 1 unit. This is what I run my side and down imaging on. My side imaging is actually run on this same unit, but a 10-inch model. But I don't know, Josh Sanders is going to mention something here in a minute about how many of these I have, because I have backups for my backups for my backups. Okay. These units right here, you can actually pick up on the used market for around $300. Okay. Now you got to have the transducer and you got to have the LSS1 structure scan box to run it all through. Josh said I wasn't going to say anything this time, but no, I do. I have, I don't know, 6 or 8 of these, 10s and 8s, a mixture. And I have backup transducers, which this is an LSS2 transducer right here. Tyler, LSS2 transducer up under the boat right here. I run the LSS2 transducer through my system, but this is what I run. This is the oldest Lowrance technology they have. This, well, not that they have, but as far as HDS models, this is the Gen 1. This is a Generation 1, and I love them. I absolutely love them. The pictures are great. Anybody that's been in my boat that's in this forum or in this live right now will tell you these pictures are absolutely great off these units, okay? You can see everything you need to see and then some. So that's what I'm running. If you don't have or want to spend that kind of money on a unit, you don't have to. Okay, guys. There's a lot of good units out there and a lot of good used units on the market. So you don't have to spend that kind of money to get good images. Okay. Ouch. All right. All right, guys. That's it for tonight. I appreciate you guys joining me. I appreciate you guys being with me. I don't see any more questions. I'm going to talk for just a second and say our good nights. If there's any more questions pop up, I'll answer those. Josh Sanders said, "Good luck finding a Gen 1 for 300 that Matt doesn't beat you to." So it's a running joke with Josh and I. Okay, let me go ahead and explain this. It's a running joke between us because I told him what units I ran and all that good stuff, and then he started looking for some while back or whatnot, or he'd message me and be like, "Man, did you see that?" I think it happened like 4 or 5 different times. He's like, "Man, did you see a transducer that came up?" I said, "Yeah, the one that sold." And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Oh, I bought it." And he goes, "You did not?" I said, "Yeah, I did." And then there was one, I think it was a structure scan box, and he's like, "Man, there's a structure scan box on there. Guy wants only $100 for it." And I was like, "Yeah, I bought it." He's like, "You did not?" I was like, "Yeah, I did." And I think there was a couple of units that he messaged me about. He's like, "I saw another unit." I was like, "Yeah, I bought that one too." And he's like, "You did not?" I was like, "Yeah, I did." And so Josh would always get a notification when I commented on one of those posts. He'd always get, because we're friends on Facebook. So he'd always get a notification that, "Hey, Matt Zenas just commented on this." And he'd be like, "Are you buying another one?" Like, "Yeah, I'm buying another one." So anyway, I've got backups for my backups. That's because I'm a tournament fisherman. I gotta have the right equipment ready at the ready when I need it. You know what I mean? I wish I had a prop shaft seal here tonight, or I'd change a prop shaft seal in my boat. But oh well, that's all right. Nathan Wood, thank you, buddy, for the super chat. I appreciate you very much, sir. Thanks, buddy, for the info. You're very welcome, Nathan. Thank you for the super chat, my friend. I appreciate you very much. Uh-oh. Here's the $1 million question. I should have got off here before you guys asked this. Where do you buy your used units? Well, and I hate giving out I hate giving out my suppliers, man. No, so I buy them from a lot of different places. Crappie.com, Bass Boat Central, Facebook. I mean, I've bought a lot off Facebook. Actually, this unit right here came from Texas, I believe. Yeah, this one came from Texas. And I'll tell you, yeah, I'll show you it came from Texas. See right in there, it says Texas, Matt X. I always write on them where I bought them. This one came out of Texas, and just real quick story: the guy had this unit. It was an in dash mount. Okay, it was dash mounted in his dash. He said, "I don't have." He said, "I don't have the knobs. I don't have a mount for it." He said, "I've got a power cord, a real short power cord." He said, "I got a power cord in the unit. That's it." I said, and he didn't even have the sun cover. He didn't even have a sun cover with it. And I said, "Well," I said, "you don't really have anything except for the unit." I said, "How much you sell it to me for?" He said, "Give me $125." I was like, "Hey, pal. All right. Thank you. $125. Woo-hoo." Because I've got 6 units. I mean, I've got all this stuff. I mean, I got it. I don't need it. I got plenty of them. They're all universal. I got it. I said, just send me the unit. So I got this one for 125 bucks. Okay. It runs great. It absolutely runs great. Now it could blow up tomorrow, but if it does, I got a backup for it. So, you know, guys, I'm just telling you that because I want you guys to understand that you don't have to go out and have the latest, greatest everything. All right. Don't have to go buy the Gen 3 Helix with the Mega. And if you do and you want to, that's great. You can, absolutely, no problems. But if you don't have the means to do that and you're looking for a good used unit, I mean, a lot of those places I told you about, Facebook and Crappie.com and Bass Boat Central, some of those other sites, some forums. Always check the forums on Facebook. There's Lowrance forums out there that you can look in. You can see these units, find these units. But I mean, like you can see, I mean, that unit's the screen is just clear as can be. The buttons are in great shape. I mean, you can really find some great units. The quick keys all work on it. You know, those are things you need to ask when you're talking to people about used units. You need to, you know, hey, can you send me pictures of the screen? Can you send me pictures of the buttons? You know, can you send me pictures of the quick keys? Can you send me pictures of the connections in the back? Somebody that's got a good unit is not going to be upset about sending you good photos. Okay. Now, somebody that doesn't have a good unit is going to get a little upset when you ask for all those pictures. They're going to be like, well, what do you want those for? You know, why do you need all that? I mean, the unit's good. It works. I told you it works. Well, because I'm buying a used unit, I just want to make sure that it's in good shape. You know, if they get mad about it, then move on to another unit. All right. But you can find some good used units out there and they'll last you a while. I mean, like I said, all mine could blow up tomorrow, but you know, I've had pretty good luck with them, and you know, hopefully I'll continue to. But that's what I run. All right, guys, I'm calling it a night. We're gonna go to we're gonna go online because I buy all my parts from boats.net. Boats.net out of Albany, Georgia. That's where I buy all my boat parts from, guys. That's where I get all my genuine Evinrude parts. Boats.net. Uh, some things you can find cheaper at like Crowley Marine or, you know, a couple different other marineengine.com. You can find some cheaper parts, but for the most part, boats.net is where it's at. And I don't mind paying a little bit more for something, you know, $2 or $3 more from boats.net because their shipping's great. Their customer service is great. Anyway, long story short, boats.net is where I buy all my boat parts. So we're going to get off here and we're going to go order a prop shaft seal because we got to get that joker fixed. We can't be running around with water in the lower unit. So I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you all very much. I hope that helps. Hope that, you know, shows you guys how easy it is to change lower unit oil. And it's really, really great because you can literally see firsthand yourself instead of asking somebody, hey, what does my oil look like? You can watch it come out firsthand. You know what it looks like. When it runs out like tap water, you know you got a problem. Okay. So we're going to get that fixed. I hope everybody has a great week. Stay safe. Be blessed. We'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys and gals. And Heidi. Everyone have a blessed, safe, and fabulous week. Couldn't have said it any better myself. Good night, Heidi, and everyone involved. We'll see you next week. Same time, same place.